They say death reaches everyone, but why is it a weird truth that some people die of a little car accident whereas some manage to survive the atomic bombing? One such man is named Tsutomu Yamaguchi, who survived 2 nuclear attacks. Was it his fortune? Or just a mere miracle? If you are new to our channel, then make sure to subscribe to our channel and also hit the bell icon. 6th of August 1945 dawned dazzlingly over Hiroshima, Japan, and 29-year-old Tsutomu Yamaguchi had a spring in his step as he walked to work. He had been in the city for more than 3 months on a business trip, developing a new oil tanker for his employer, Mitsubishi, but today was his last day of the trip. Tsutomu was looking ahead to traveling home to his wife and young son in Nagasaki the next day. Just as he came to the Mitsubishi yard at around 8:15, he spotted an American plane overhead. It was nothing new to see an American plane soar in the skies over Japan, whose own air force had long since lost the ability to defend its skies, but Tsutomu was curious about why this plane seemed to be alone. He was even more curious when the plane released a small object that dropped towards the city with a parachute attached to it. His curiosity soon turned to panic, confusion, and horror. The sky erupted, an ear-splitting noise punched the air, and a shock wave threw Tsutomu violently from his feet and onto a nearby potato patch. He had just witnessed the world's first ever atomic bomb attack, and, incredibly, it would not be the last one he witnessed. He staggered to his feet after the initial blast, his ears ringing and his eyes struggling to adjust to the darkness that had cloaked the city. He had been less than 2 miles from where the bomb had dropped. He had been badly burned and was surrounded by falling debris and ash, and all he could vaguely see was a mushroom-shaped cloud rising high above the city. He struggled in the direction of where the Mitsubishi factory had stood. The building was gone, but he managed to find 2 of his colleagues who had also survived the blast. Together, they lay in what remained of a building in the company shipyard, dazed and confused, and in no shape to contemplate walking anywhere. They spent a restless night in their makeshift shelter before emerging the following morning to take stock of the ruined city. Fires raged all around them, bodies littered the streets, and the sound of crying was the only thing that interrupted the shouts from rescue workers and the occasional collapse of a building. Somehow, the train station was still operating, and upon discovering this, Tsutomu raced to the station with his colleagues and found a train bound for Nagasaki. The train was full of injured, sick, and just plain confused passengers, and Tsutomu spent another uncomfortable night as it traveled ponderously through the dark countryside. Somehow managing to catch a train to his home in Nagasaki the following morning, he arrived in time for the second atomic bomb attack the world had ever witnessed. He had survived the most powerful bomb attack the world had ever witnessed. He was traveling far from the devastated city and he was returning home. As far as he was concerned, he had been through a terrible ordeal, but a short one that was nearly over. His optimism was, of course, misplaced. Tsutomu spent the 8th of August in hospital in Nagasaki, where he realized the extent of his injuries. He had been so severely burned. Meanwhile, the true horror of what had happened in Hiroshima was beginning to be realized. 80,000 people had been killed instantly and the death toll was continuing to rise every hour. On 9th August, Tsutomu was summoned by Mitsubishi to their Nagasaki office to explain what he had seen. Still severely injured and sick, he reported for duty at around 11 o'clock that morning and tried to explain to his incredulous bosses that it really was a single bomb that had caused all that death and destruction. He was in the middle of this when he saw another sudden flash and instinctively ducked to the floor as the second atomic bomb hit Japan, causing a shock wave reverberating across the city. Disaster knocked once more. A 21-kiloton plutonium bomb exploded in the city of Nagasaki, killing around 74,000 people. Unbelievably, he lived to tell the tale. Again, Tsutomu was caught within 2 miles of the explosion, but again, he had survived. This time, it was the reinforced concrete walls of the Mitsubishi offices that saved him, and he emerged relatively unharmed. His first instinct was to rush home and check on his family, and his heart was in his mouth when he saw his house had been reduced to rubble. But in a remarkable stroke of luck, his wife had been out shopping with their son at the moment the bomb fell. She had been shopping for burn ointment for her husband, meaning that it is entirely possible that she and her son would have been killed if it were not for the fact that Tsutomu had been caught in the other atomic explosion 3 days previously. Their home was ruined and they were all suffering from radiation poisoning, but Tsutomu and his family had been lucky. They had all survived, for now. But Tsutomu would have to work especially hard to ensure his long-term survival. Within days of the second explosion, the 2 doses of intense radiation he had been exposed to brought him to the brink of death. Showing phenomenal strength, Tsutomu gradually recovered. Many thousands had died in the weeks and months, but Tsutomu somehow managed to keep fighting despite his double exposure. He had recovered sufficiently in the space of a few months to work as an English translator for American troops who occupied Japan after the war, before forging a career as a teacher and then returning to Mitsubishi. He, his wife, and his son all struggled with health problems for the rest of their lives, but they managed to add 2 daughters to the family. Tsutomu never talked publicly about his ordeal until the early 2000s, when he wrote a memoir about those terrifying few days. It made him instantly famous, and he joined the anti-nuclear weapons movement. The address was especially moving because his son had died from cancer the previous year. Tsutomu himself died in 2010, at the age of 93. He had tried as hard as he could to lead a normal life, but how normal could life be for a man who survived 2 atomic bombs? Later in life, he surprised himself by embarking on a crusade to rid the world of one of its cruelest inventions. There was no one better place to describe the agony those inventions can cause. For more interesting videos, make sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Thank you for watching.